If 20,000 dedicated, hardworking nurses decide to walk up out of your hospital all at the same time, who's the real problem?
Let's talk.
Welcome back to Brook Talks with your girl, Nurse Brook. So y'all, we have a dilemma. If you're here, while you're here, please go ahead and click the like, subscribe, tag your notifications. I will be going live soon, working on that. So you'll be getting notifications for videos and lives. When that number of nurses decide to go on strike from a hospital, and we'll talk about what a strike is a little bit in just a minute. But when that large amount of nurses go on strike from a hospital, that is huge. That is something is going on. In the CBS New York video on YouTube, they had some nurses speaking on the situation as much as they could. One nurse particularly.
Update tonight on a looming nurses strike in hospitals across New York City and Long Island. 8 so-called safety net hospitals rescinded their strike notices, and nurses at all Northwell health facilities in Nassau County reached a tentative contract agreement. That's all according to the president of the New York State Nurses Association. Negotiations are ongoing at the Mount Sinai Hospital, Mount Sinai Morningside and West, Montefiore, and NewYork-Presbyterian. The group's president, Nancy Hagan, says these hospitals are refusing to negotiate and are paying travel nurses to take their place.
It is irresponsible for hospitals to force nurses out on strike and to make an adequate contingency plan that rely on unlicensed nurses and other practitioners to care for our patients. Patient safety is always our number one concern.
Now, in a new statement tonight, Montefiore says NYSNA's leadership has made, quote, reckless and irresponsible demands, including a nearly 40% wage increase. We are preparing for what we anticipate could be a multi-week strike, end quote. Mount Sinai and NewYork-Presbyterian said in a quote statement, we ask NYSNA leadership to reconsider their decision to strike, but if a strike occurs, we are ready to safely care for our patients, whatever the duration.
I'm paraphrasing, but we don't want to go on strike. We don't want to go on strike. We need these things to be done and our needs met in order for us to be able to safely and adequately take care of these sick patients. Some of the key issues that were also noted in their video was staffing shortages, safe work environments, healthcare. Nurses should have amazing healthcare, and according to this video, they obviously do not. And a huge issue that they are fighting for is protection from workplace violence. Now, before we get too deep in it, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I am a registered nurse, and this video is for educational and commentary purposes only. I am not identifying any patients or patient information. Okay, just speaking from experience and speaking from what I know. I am also not speaking of my current place of employment. Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk about what a nursing strike is at a hospital, for example. So a strike is a legal action, is highly regulated. It is planned. It is something that is organized by an organization. They can issue, steps are taken to report the grievances. These organizations help to get together the official, hey, we're going on strike. It is to give the hospital time to plan ahead in order to staff the hospitals in order to continue patient care. Okay. Again, a hospital strike is a legal, planned, highly regulated action of labor. It's not like a huge surprise attack. It's not like, oh, we're all quitting tomorrow. And these things are in place for that very reason, because that would be absolutely horrific. That would be horrific. It is not nurses abandoning patients. Again, it's not a big surprise. Like they most associations, they put forth a 10-day notice. Go ahead and prepare the others.
I'm calling out tomorrow. Show Liz. PTO, prepare the others, because I ain't coming.
Baby, you better prepare the others. Right now, okay? Reasons why a strike is even occurring. Reasons why a strike is even occurring. Of course, money is, possibly a thing on the table, but a lot of times strikes are not even initiated just because of money. It is staffing issues. It is not being able to take your breaks. It is high patient acuity. It is constant demands. It is not getting any time off. It is nurse to patient ratios. We're getting too many patients per one nurse. Safety concerns, abuse, violence against nurses, retaliation against nurses who speak up, burnout that is just not addressed and ignored. The list literally goes on and on. Prior to a strike, a lot of the times the nurses have brought forth, all of the time, the nurses have brought forth these whatever set of grievances. They bring it forth, and they bring it forth, and they bring it forth. And if they get no action, no response, no resolution, what we do, nurses, we go up the chain of command, and we get someone who can initiate this legal action and help the nurses to initiate a strike if they have to. The hospital still has time to negotiate, even on the day that the strike is supposed to start. And we'll talk about that too. They still have time. Okay. So again, there are negotiations that are at play. There are voting rituals that are done. It is a legal process. So who are the others that the hospitals are preparing for this strike? That's where someone like myself who comes in. I am a contract nurse. I have done contracts for years and years and years. Yes, I do have my master's in nursing education. However, I do what's flexible for me in my life at the time. And that's what I love about nursing. It can be extremely flexible if you have experience, if you fit it to your life. It can be very rewarding. It's hard work. The first others that I prepared, that's going to be your contract nurses for sure. The hospitals almost immediately contract agencies, staffing agencies, travel agencies to take care of this upcoming strike. So then, once they do that, the word is out. The travel nurses get they bags packed, saddle up the Stanley Cup, and they head out north, they head out west, they head wherever they go. A lot of times, strike nurses are paid anywhere from the single-digit thousands to the double-digit thousands. And more in some cases, and very special cases. But they make a good bit of money. They make a good bit of money. The housing is most of the time free. The travel is most of the time free. You get bonuses if whatever you work, you get paid. Whatever time you put into it, you get paid for it. But then that's where I'm also going to have to play devil's advocate. Although I have been a contract nurse for years, on and off, I've done many things in nursing. I can take time off from contracting if I want to. I can come back to it. But I'm going to play devil's advocate because that's what I like to do. Now, that's great for the contract nurses. That's great for the nurses who are chilling at home or stay-at-home moms, or who take breaks in between contracts, or who prepare for strikes, or who may have heard through the grapevine that a strike was coming. Those nurses, that's great for them. They're going to come up on the bag. Okay? If they go there for whatever time, they're going to come up on some money. Okay? They are. But then, if money is one of the grievances for the regular staff of the hospitals that are actually putting the strike out, if y'all are paying that much money to contractors to come in and staff these hospitals, millions and millions and millions of dollars, why don't we have that money for your core staff? We can argue about it. I can argue both sides. I'm a Sagittarius. I like to argue, so we can argue about it. But if contractors are getting paid all this money, you're paying for all this stuff. If one of the grievances is money from those nurses who are going on strike, why aren't we paying them that money? I'm just saying. Baby, I'm just saying. Also, another thing that I want to throw out there, in the case of a strike, those hospitals are going to put their leadership on the floor. They're going to be working the bedside. Now, I figure they're going to try their best not to do it. But a lot of those hospitals will pull nurse managers and directors and educators and specialists who, some of them ain't seen the Epic system or any system in years. Decades, some. Some of them haven't typed an assessment in a computer since I don't know when. And they may have to go out and hit the floor running. Put the pedal to the metal. They do get, quick refreshers, crash courses on what's going on and to work these places. Now, one thing I do not know, y'all tell me, I do not know this, but if those nurse managers are working the floor, are they getting their regular base pay during a strike? Of course, they're working overtime. They're getting probably other incentives, but is it still their base pay? Y'all let me know in the comments because I don't know. I don't know that information. Okay. The hospital is a circulatory system. It has a lot of different things that goes into it to make it what it is. Okay, we're going to talk in just the most basic terms because it really is that it is very complex, but it's that simple. It is a circulatory system and everything is important. The CNAs, the janitorial staff, the nurses, the secretaries, the tech folk, the engineering folk, the pest control people, the uniform people, the people delivering the food to the kitchen, the put in store in the kitchen. If any of those things are effed up, I can promise you it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Short staffing is such a huge problem. It waxes and wanes over the years, but that is an ongoing issue across the board.
I'm in charge of 56 babies at a time, and I also have to be responsible for my staff that's on the unit. So you can imagine trying to be in charge of 20 nurses and 56 babies is extremely stressful. However, at the same time, all of my nurses have 3 to 4 babies and all needing something differently. So it just, poses huge challenges for us because we can't give the right amount, the care that we want to our babies. So the whole issue comes down to staffing. We can't.
Whenever there's strikes and things like that, these nurses are helping to take care of patients who are going in for surgeries. A lot of those surgeries are something that life-threatening was going on, and they have to get an emergency surgery. Sometimes units are closed down. They don't have anybody to come work the units. Delayed admissions, delayed transfers, limited options, limited resources. And then the patients, guess who get the butt of that? The nursing staff. The nurses and the CNAs, we get the butt of that joke when those things happen. Okay. Also, I mentioned earlier, nurses are not getting adequate breaks. They're not.
So the hospital I was working at last night, I just got off from doing per diem. The nurses don't take breaks. And 12-hour shift on nights, sometimes on the days too, don't take breaks. And I'll say, are you going to take a break? No, I'm just gonna sit here, is what they'll say. And they'll be like, sometimes joke, break, please. I could never take a break. Oftentimes I'm the only nurse here. How can I take a break? It's a very small hospital. Sometimes it almost runs itself. Sometimes they don't even have a supervisor, but in there unionized. Small, but unionized. So I'm like, I don't care if you have 2 patients and it's the easiest assignment, that you ever could have. You get off this unit for a couple of hours. What's this not taking a break business, working 12-hour shift?
Most places you get 2 15-minute breaks in your shift and then a 30-minute break. Most 12-hour shift hospitals. There's variations across the board. Everybody has different things, but that's just the general standard. Now, given that you do get that break, those little pieces of breaks in a 12-hour shift, of course, aside from your bathroom breaks and things like that, you're literally expected to work. And even I feel like sometimes you're expected to work through your breaks too, because everybody is stretched very, very thinly. So if I need to go on break, I have to report off to the other nurse, tell them about my patients, make sure they know what's going on, how they move, what their code status is, if, whatever, what type of isolation they're on, if they have any infections or anything contagious. You have to kind of give that to another nurse who already has a group of 3, 4, 5, 6 patients, depending on what areas you're working in. So you're passing off to another nurse who has her own set of patients. So now you're doubling the amount of patients that those nurses are looking over. And if you're on break and something happens, who's at fault? That is an ongoing issue. So let's talk about why a nursing strike is absolutely terrifying for the powers that be, the higher ups, the 5, 6, 7 figure folk. Let's talk about why that's scary for them. No shade, but let's talk about why that's scary. It is because the patients are unsafe. That's one thing. That's not the top thing, though. It's not the number one thing. Believe it or not, of course. The public sees how understaffed the hospitals actually are. The public actually sees it. And it does alter public perception. I hear patients all the time saying, oh, I hear y'all are understaffed. You're understaffed. You're understaffed. Like, they hear it. They know. They see it. They know. They know when they're patients and you're running thin. It's also scary because it kind of shows how much leverage nurses have. It shows how significant the nursing staff is to a hospital. It's everything. We're with them the whole entire time that they're there. From whatever it is until them dropping a straw on the floor to them pooping all over, whatever it is that's going on, we're there. Okay? It shows them how quick things can switch when people put their feet down. It shows how quickly conditions can be changed when somebody puts their foot down. If somebody says no, it can change the trajectory of a healthcare system overnight. Now, I wasn't trying to go too hard on anything in this video. I can talk for years and years and years about this topic. But child, for the travel nurses that's out there, looks like we got a doozy coming.
See, this is why I made that post about becoming a strike nurse, because I just came across another post stating that these hospitals are willing to pay travel and agency nurses $10,000 a week to cover the strike nurses. But you don't want to take care of your staff nurses that are already there and increase their staffing. They are asking for adequate nurse to patient ratio, and you don't want to do that. The nurses who are busting their asses taking care of your patients, yet and still you're going to have some other nurses come in that you want to pay $10,000 for to cover those nurses? I definitely must be missing something. Somebody please fill me in on.
And for the nurses, on a serious note, the nurses who are going through this strike, good for you. Good for you. If nobody stands up, nothing changes. If nobody complains, if nobody says no, the hospital is just going to continue to do whatever it is that they do. So we have to keep standing up and have to keep fighting. It's not about violence. It's not about retaliation. It's not about anger or hatred. It is about what's right. But I am going to get off of here. I just actually finished working a 12-hour shift not too long ago, a 12-hour night shift. It is 10:47 a.m. at the time of this recording on January 4th, 2026. This is the 4th day of this podcast ever. And I am just so excited about everything that's going to go on here. So excited about having community and running my mouth. Because as y'all see, I can do that. Okay, I can run. ADH Barbie can run her mouth. If you know a nurse, send her some money. Send her some money. Send it now. Send it right now. If you have somebody that works in healthcare in general, send them some money right now. Okay? Let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. If this affects you, which side are you on? As far as like if you've been in this situation, if you are currently a nurse in that area, if you are a contract nurse and you're looking at it from that viewpoint, whatever. Drop it in the comments. Like and subscribe. Come back. Come on back. We're going to talk about more stuff. If you want to hear more about strikes and go into a little bit more detail, please let me know and I will get back with you guys later. This is your girl, Nurse Brook from Brook Talks, where we talk about real shit, real healthcare, real digital marketing, real crime, and everything else in between. Have a good one.
Glass on my gun. pretty with a purpose. Yeah, I do